Hey, greetings, vinyl community. This is Elliot again. Lazy Dogs Records. This will be my second video, and I got something in the mail today. I've been waiting. I don't normally buy things too much over the online, over the internet, but sometimes when I really want something and can't find it anywhere else, I will. And so I ordered about 7 weeks ago from a guy in Germany. I could not find a copy of this anywhere in the United States, although one's popped up since I ordered it. But I found this in Germany and ordered it. Took 7 weeks approximately for it to actually get here, if they could ever get here. But this is a single. I usually do albums, but this is a single. If you look here, this is I'm a Girl Watcher, or Girl Watcher, from The Occasions on North State Records. And this is an original copy. And you may or may not remember the song Girl Watcher. It's a huge hit in 1968. It ended up rising to number 5 on the Billboard charts and number 6 on the R&B charts on Billboard during 1968. It started out, as I say, on North State Records. North State Records was just a fly-by-night record record label out of a place called Goldsboro, North Carolina, in eastern North Carolina. And The Occasions were a band that had been around about 10 years at that point. And they were originally from Kinley, North Carolina, which is an even smaller town in eastern North Carolina, near Wilson. Sometimes people say they're from Wilson, but it's all right there together. The Occasion started as the K's, and when the members were in their early teens, like 12 years old, Wayne Pittman was 12 years old when he started this band, and they, right off the bat, their first gig was a junior senior prom in their hometown, I believe. And in the newspaper, they were the K's, just the letter K. And when they advertised who was going to be playing at the junior senior prom, or there was some write-up in the local newspaper, they spelled it K-A-Y-S, the K's. So they were the K's for about 10 years. They played a regular gig in a place called Silver Lake, I believe it was, in Wilson. Saturday nights, just about every Saturday night, they played there to a few hundred people, and really did that for about 8 years, really honed their skills playing there. And they played other local sorority, frat parties, probably high school dances, clubs when they could. Now, they were all underage at this time. But in North Carolina, it was a dry state. You couldn't go and buy alcohol in North Carolina and sit down and drink it. But they got around the law for many, many years by serving the setups. It's called brown bagging. Somebody would buy whatever they were going to drink. They'd keep it in the back of the bar, and they would sell you the setups for it. So they could get around being underage in these places, because technically they weren't selling alcohol there. There are a lot of military bases in eastern North Carolina. There's Seymour Johnson Air Force Base, and they played a lot of Wednesday nights at the Officers Club at the Air Force Base. And they also played a lot at Camp Lejeune, which is the military base. Now remember, we're talking about early to mid 60s. This is the height of the Vietnam War. A Marine base in 1965, 66, you can imagine, they said that they would play, and the crowd would love them, and about the time the show was over, all the Marines would start fighting each other. And I said it was the craziest thing you'd ever seen. They'd be trying to unload their gear and get out, and get out the front door, and there's blood and guts everywhere. When the MPs would get called, of course, they knew you'd get in a lot of trouble if the MPs brought them in. So as the MPs pull up, all of a sudden all these people that have just been fighting each other just tooth and nail they're hugging each other. Hey, my buddy, you know, nothing going on here. And he said it was kind of a wild time to be a young teenager playing these military bases, and they played a lot of other places too. Wayne Pittman, hey Chester, my dog Chester just came by to say hey. Wayne Pittman wrote I'm a Girl Watcher, and is an interesting story about how he wrote the song. He had been traveling to Columbia, South Carolina during the week to work a day job, and then driving back to eastern North Carolina, and then they go out and play their gigs in the Carolinas, maybe up into Virginia and Georgia a little bit, down to Georgia. And he had a melody, and he worked a chord progression that he had worked out, developed a melody for it. It was just an instrumental, and he liked it, but he hadn't done anything with it. And you hear different stories. I've heard him tell the story a couple of different ways, but it boils down to this. Like Wayne Pittman, he says, you know, I was just this scrawny little 120-pound, 19 or 20-year-old kid at the time, and the girls weren't real interested in me. And so when they would go play, say at Atlantic Beach, North Carolina, during the summer and things like that, when he'd come back home, they'd say, hey, Wayne, did you meet any nice girls while you were there at the beach? And he said, no, but I enjoyed looking at them, something to that effect. And one of his bandmates, they were kind of picking on him, you know, a little bit, you know, but, you know, you don't have a girlfriend, or, you know, the girls, they're not swarming all over you, you know, things like that. And he said he just shrugged it off. But one of them said, you know, you're a girl watcher. You ought to do something with that. So he said, I believe I will. So he went back to work in Columbia, South Carolina, and in the afternoons, late afternoons, he would sit down at the kitchen table, and he started trying to work on the lyrics. And there was a young lady that would jog by, and he could see her out his kitchen window. And every day, about 5:30 or so, she would come in shorts, jogging by, and she was just real pretty, and it kind of inspired him, and he came up with the lyrics for I'm a Girl Watcher. Carried it back. The band learned it, and they worked out horn arrangements and chord progression, taught everybody chord progression, and this label, North State. Now, North Carolina is known as the Old North State, so that's where they get the label name, North State, North Carolina, North State. So they went into the studio to record it. And the label's out of Goldsboro, but the recording studio was just this little broom closet size studio in Greenville, North Carolina, which is another one of those little towns, home of East Carolina University, Greenville, North Carolina, just a few miles from Goldsboro. So they recorded it, and they said it took 2 takes. And it took, on the flip side is Deal Me In, also written by Wayne Pittman, and he's the bass player, by the way, in the band. And they recorded the flip side in 1 take, and they knew they had something really good there. They did it on a Sunday afternoon. They said they had played a gig Saturday night. They were all tired, and they got up Sunday morning, and they went into the studio, and they was kind of tired, kind of laid back, and it was just real easy to lay it down. There was no tension or anything like that. They just felt real comfortable, and they recorded it. Well, it became a regional hit. It got picked up by a AM station in Burlington, which is kind of in central North Carolina, and started getting played in Greensboro and Charlotte and Raleigh and the local area, and they were playing a lot in the area too. So it became a regional hit, you might say. And ABC Records got interested in it. Some people that were promoting them tried to circulate the 45 among the record labels in New York, I think, and ABC eventually agreed to record it and or to distribute it. And the rumor was that they lost the master of the song. Wayne Pittman says no, that's not true. They always had the master. But rumor was that it was a needle drop. They decided to do nothing, not to re-record the record or anything, just to put it down exactly the way it was on the North State, but now put it down on ABC and promote it, see what they could do with it. So they flew to Raleigh-Durham Airport. Somebody from ABC Records did, and the people from North State met them there. Money for the master, and they probably made a pretty good profit selling that master to ABC. ABC took it, they promoted it, and as I say, it rose very rapidly in the charts. By December, this was mid to late summer, by December it was number 5 in the country, and it was getting played everywhere. It's kind of an anomaly. We're talking 1968, so you have your Jimi Hendrix and your kind of hard rock is kind of taking over. But here's this basically a blue-eyed soul record, it was a huge hit, and it's a nice little song. I had some roommates in college back when I was going to Sand Hills Community College, and they were what I refer to as the Nash County boys. That's in that area around Wilson, Rocky Mount, Kinley. And I remember this would have been in like 78 or so 10 years after the hit. I remember them making a comment. Oh yes, they named one of the members. It was a friend of his, a friend of theirs. They knew him, So I always thought that was neat, little connection. 6 degrees of separation, all that sort of thing. But when ABC took it and it started becoming a hit, they had to get out there and push it. And a lot of the guys in the band were family men. They were married, they had full-time jobs, and some of them had kids. And so are you going to, pull up stakes, hit the road for a chance to become a big success, or are you going to stay home with a good job and support your family? So 3 members didn't make the transition. They picked up 3 more members. They never could match this. They had poor management. It's kind of like the Tom Hanks movie, what is it, The Wonders. It really parallels that storyline. The promotion didn't go well. They had some falling out between management and the label. Donnie Weaver is the lead, sings the lead on I'm a Girl Watcher in most of their work. And he got an individual contract with ABC. So ABC drops the occasions, and the occasions go to an Atlantic Records affiliate, subsidiary, Cotillion, I believe it is. And they do an album, and it doesn't succeed. It never gets out. They never release it. They did do an album on ABC. It was a rush job. They're not real, there's some good tracks on here, but this is the album that came out immediately after I'm a Girl Watcher became a hit. And they said they did this in 2 days. And it's basically, they said, they had a few songs, they didn't have time to develop them, work them out. The label and the promotion people had songs they wanted pushed because they had publishing rights too, and so they said it's just kind of an uneven record. Did it in 2 days, and I think it reached 143, 148, something like that on the Billboard album charts. They never had another hit single. They got another single out that rose to 76, and then dropped off the charts. Then the band kept going through all these changes. And by 1970, 71, there was really nobody from the original band in it. And they were playing Girl Watcher, but they were also playing mainly like Allman Brothers stuff from the first 2 Allman Brothers albums, blues, hard rock, things like that. By 72, there was no occasions. Now, Donnie Weaver had a short-lived career at ABC, never had any success with a single, but he went on and continued to perform, and still performs today, I believe, as far as I know. He got out of the business for a while and did IT for about 20 years, and then he got into playing music again professionally, I think working at the same time until he was ready to retire. All these guys are in their early to late 70s by now. Wayne Pittman, that wrote the most of the material, he revitalized the Occasions as a band, and Girl Watcher's a standard in the beach music genre found here in the southeastern United States, in the Carolinas mainly. So he found a niche in the beach music circuit there for a while. They're more of a show band now. He does play with them some, I think, but he mainly manages them, and it's like a 6-piece with 2 female singers, or something along those lines, and they do, weddings, country clubs, things like that. Nothing like what they were originally. But that's the Occasions. Interesting story, I hope, an interesting story of one of those bands that came out in the 60s, had some initial success, and most people never heard of them again. If I can figure out how to leave a link, I'll leave a link to a YouTube of the band, the original band, playing Girl Watcher. If not, just YouTube it, type in the Occasions Girl Watcher, and you come up with several different videos that will feature that. But this is running a little longer than I expected it to. Please like and subscribe. This is my second video. I hope to do more, and I hope you enjoyed this. Everybody take care. Remember, be kind to your neighbors, and everybody's your neighbor. Take care.